Long before banks, credit cards, or stock markets, ancient Babylonians had already mastered the secrets to wealth. In the ruins of the richest city of the ancient world lie lessons we still haven't fully learned today. Welcome to our summary of The Richest Man in Babylon, a financial classic written by George S. Clason in 1926. What makes this book so remarkable is how it delivers profound financial wisdom through simple parables set in ancient Babylon stories that feel both ancient and surprisingly modern. You might wonder why a book about ancient Babylon matters in today's world of cryptocurrencies and mobile banking. The answer is simple. While financial tools change, human nature doesn't. The principles that built wealth 4,000 years ago still work today because they're based on timeless truths about how money works and how we work with money. In the next half hour, we'll explore the 7 core principles that Clason called the 7 cures for a lean purse, along with additional parables that reinforce these foundational ideas. Think of this as your financial time machine, ancient wisdom perfectly suited for modern life. Babylon was once the wealthiest city in the ancient world. Located in what is now Iraq, it featured magnificent hanging gardens, imposing walls, and a sophisticated financial system. Merchants traveled from across the known world to trade in its bustling markets. It was not just a political center, it was the world's first financial capital. At the heart of our story stands Arkad, the richest man in all of Babylon. But Arkad wasn't born wealthy. In fact, he began as a humble scribe, working long hours for modest pay, not unlike many of us starting our careers today. The book's framework begins when Arkad's childhood friends approach him, puzzled by a simple question. Why has Arkad grown so wealthy while they still struggle despite working just as hard? They're all roughly the same age, from similar backgrounds, yet Arkad lives in luxury while they barely make ends meet. This question, why do some people achieve financial freedom while others remain trapped in perpetual struggle, sets the stage for everything that follows. Arkad smiles at his friend's question and reveals that his journey from struggling scribe to the richest man in Babylon wasn't due to luck or inheritance. It began with a single decision, a decision any of us can make today. Let's discover what that was as we explore the 7 cures for a lean purse. 1. Start thy purse to fattening. The first and perhaps most fundamental principle Arkad shares is elegantly simple. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. This might seem obvious, but think about it. Do you actually keep any of what you earn? Most people spend everything they make, sometimes even more. They work hard only to see their earnings flow to landlords, merchants, and creditors, with nothing remaining for themselves. Arkad explains that he learned this lesson from a wealthy moneylender named Algamish. As payment for a rushed job, Algamish shared this wisdom. Save at least 1/10 of all you earn. No matter how little you make, take that portion first and consider it as precious as your own life. Think of your income as a mighty river. Most people let it flow entirely past them, using it all for expenses and pleasures. But the wise person diverts at least a small stream into their own reservoir before the river continues downstream. Over time, that reservoir grows into a lake of wealth that works for them. In modern terms, we call this paying yourself first. Before you pay bills, before you buy groceries, before you spend on entertainment, take at least 10% and put it aside. This isn't money for next month's expenses. This is money that belongs to your future self. But I can barely make ends meet now. You might protest. Arkad anticipated this. He says that if you cannot save 1/10, save 1/20 or 1/100. The amount matters less than the habit. A thin trickle of water, if persistent, will eventually fill even the largest jar. Today, technology makes this easier than ever. Set up an automatic transfer on payday that moves money directly into a separate savings or investment account. Make it happen before you even see that money in your checking account. Remember, this first cure underlies all the others. Without saving first, no financial progress is possible. As Arkad puts it, that which each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary. Start today. Even if it's just 1% of your income, begin the practice. As your income grows, increase the percentage until you reach at least 10%. Your future self will thank you. 2. Control thy expenditures. The second cure follows naturally from the first: control thy expenditures. Arkad explains this principle with disarming simplicity. Budget thy expenses, that thou mayest have coins to pay for thy necessities, to pay for thy enjoyments, and to gratify thy worthwhile desires without spending more than 9/10 of thy earnings. Notice, he doesn't say to eliminate enjoyments or desires only to ensure they fit within what remains. After you have paid yourself first. This isn't about deprivation. It's about intentionality. In the story, Arkad's friends protest that they have only necessary expenses. Arkad gently challenges them. Can you truly claim that every single coin goes to absolute necessity? Is the fine tunic necessary when a plainer one serves just as well? Is the luxurious food necessary when simpler food would provide equal nourishment? The truth is, we often confuse wants with needs. In modern life, this confusion is amplified by advertising, social media, and what economists call lifestyle inflation. As our income increases, our definition of necessary mysteriously expands to match. Get a raise? Suddenly you need a nicer car. Promotion? Now you need a bigger apartment. Bonus? Well, you deserve that luxury vacation. Before you know it, your expenses have risen to meet or exceed your new income, and you are no better off financially than before. Instead, Arkad suggests making every expenditure a conscious decision. In today's terms, this means creating and following a budget not as a restriction, but as a plan for using your money intentionally. A practical approach is to track your spending for 1 month. Many are shocked to discover where their money actually goes. $200 on takeout? $150 on subscription services you barely use? These revelations can be powerful catalysts for change. The common objection, "I don't earn enough to save," reverses the proper order of thinking. The wise approach is, because I save first, I must find ways to live well on what remains. This principle doesn't mean living like a miser. It means distinguishing between expenses that bring lasting value and those that merely satisfy momentary desires. It means asking, is this worth trading my life energy for? Because ultimately, that's what money represents. Hours of your life. Control thy expenditures, not to diminish life's joy, but to create space for wealth to grow. 3. Make thy gold multiply. Saving alone won't make you wealthy. The third cure addresses what to do with your growing treasure. Make thy gold multiply. The gold we may retain from our earnings, Arkad explains, is but the start. The earnings it will make shall build our fortunes. Think of money as a fruit tree. Simply planting one tree yields limited fruit. But if you plant the seeds from that fruit, soon you'll have a grove. Eventually, you'll have an orchard producing far more than you could ever eat without additional labor from you. This is the power of compound interest, what Einstein allegedly called the eighth wonder of the world. When your money makes money, and then that new money makes even more money, wealth grows exponentially rather than linearly. In ancient Babylon, this meant lending money at interest or investing in merchant caravans. Today, we have many more options: index funds, real estate dividend stocks, bonds, or even starting small businesses. The key is ensuring your money works as hard as you do. A dollar sitting in a no-interest checking account is like an unemployed servant. Put that dollar to work through wise investments, and it becomes a tireless worker that never sleeps, never takes vacations, and compounds its efforts over decades. Arkad cautions, however, that not all investments are created equal. Begin with safe, proven investments while you learn. As your knowledge grows, you can explore opportunities with potentially higher returns. For most modern investors, low-cost index funds provide an excellent starting point, essentially buying small pieces of hundreds or thousands of successful companies. Real estate offers another path, as property often appreciates while providing rental income. Side businesses can turn skills or hobbies into additional income streams that might eventually surpass your primary job. The magic happens when your investment returns begin exceeding your contributions. Imagine saving $500 monthly for years. Initially, your account grows mainly from these deposits, but eventually, market returns might add $1,000 or more monthly to your wealth, your money working harder than you could yourself. Start making your gold multiply today, even if in small amounts. Time is the critical ingredient in the compound growth recipe. The sooner you begin, the greater your harvest will be. Today on the show, we're diving into the world of economic indicators. These are the numbers that tell us how the economy is doing, things like GDP, unemployment rates, and consumer confidence. But what do these indicators really mean? How are they calculated? And how should we interpret them? We'll break it all down for you with the help of some experts to make sense of the numbers that shape our world. 4. Guard thy treasures from loss. The fourth cure contains a crucial warning. Guard thy treasures from loss. Arkad shares a painful lesson from his own journey. Early in his wealth building, he entrusted his savings to a brickmaker named Azmur, who promised to buy jewels from distant lands and sell them for huge profits. The story ended predictably. Azmur knew nothing about jewels and was swindled by merchants. Arkad lost his entire investment. The first sound principle of investment, Arkad advises, is security for thy principal. Is it wise to be intrigued by larger earnings when thy principal may be lost? I say not. This wisdom remains painfully relevant today. How many have lost their savings to cryptocurrency scams, hot stock tips, or business ventures they did not understand? The modern equivalent of Arkad's mistake would be taking investment advice from a random social media influencer or your neighbor who suddenly became a cryptocurrency expert. Arkad offers clear guidance. First, invest only where the principal is safe and can be reclaimed if desired. This does not mean avoiding all risk, but understanding and managing that risk appropriately. Second, secure guaranteed and reasonable returns. Modest, consistent growth builds more wealth than occasional spectacular gains mixed with devastating losses. Third, seek counsel from those experienced in managing money. Today, this might mean certified financial planners, not self-proclaimed investment gurus. Fourth, avoid investments you do not understand. If you can't explain how an investment makes money in simple terms, it's not for you yet. This principle extends beyond investments to other protections. Insurance to guard against catastrophic loss, cybersecurity to protect digital assets, legal structures to shield business owners. Warren Buffett, perhaps the modern world's Arkad, famously has two rules for investing. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Remember, building wealth is not just about gaining, it's equally about not losing what you've already accumulated. The slow, steady path, with appropriate safeguards, almost always wins the wealth race. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. The fifth cure addresses perhaps the largest expense in most people's lives. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. In ancient Babylon, as today, housing consumed a significant portion of most people's income. Arkad advises owning your home when it makes financial sense, turning this necessary expense into an asset I recommend that every man own. The roof that sheltereth him and his Arkad says, nor is it beyond the ability of any well-intentioned man to own his home. The reasoning is sound. Rent payments continue forever, while mortgage payments eventually end, leaving you with a valuable asset. Additionally, a home can appreciate in value over time and provide stability during economic turbulence. However, modern financial reality requires nuance here. Buying isn't automatically better than renting in every situation. Consider, in expensive cities, renting might be significantly cheaper than buying, allowing you to invest the difference. Job mobility may make renting more practical if you expect to relocate frequently. Maintenance costs, property taxes, and homeowners insurance add expenses beyond the mortgage payment. Today's financially savvy approach might include house hacking, buying a duplex, or home with an extra bedroom to rent out, having others help pay your mortgage, or starting with a modest home rather than stretching for your forever home immediately. The key insight remains valid. Convert necessary expenses into assets when possible. Your dwelling shouldn't just drain your resources, it should build your wealth over time. The decision to rent or buy should be made with careful calculation rather than emotional attachment to home ownership. The goal is financial freedom, not following a prescribed path that might not fit your unique situation. Ensure a future income. The sixth cure looks toward the inevitable horizon all humans face. Ensure a future income. The life of every man proceeds toward old age, Arkad observes. Therefore, prepare a purse for the days to come. Just as Babylon built mighty walls to protect against enemies, we must build financial walls to protect against future hardship. In Arkad's time, this meant accumulating enough wealth that the interest alone could support you when you could no longer work. Today, we have more sophisticated tools. Retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs that offer tax advantages, insurance, policies that protect against disability or premature death, and various investment vehicles designed for long-term growth. The principle remains unchanged. Your ability to earn income through labor is temporary, but your need for income is permanent. Consider this thought experiment. If you could speak to yourself 30 years in the future, what financial steps would that older version thank you for taking today? Maximizing retirement contributions, purchasing long-term care insurance, developing passive income streams. Preparing for the future isn't just about retirement. It includes creating an emergency fund to handle unexpected expenses, obtaining appropriate insurance coverage, and developing multiple income streams that don't require your active participation. This cure reminds us that wealth building isn't just about accumulating, it's about securing. True financial freedom means knowing that your needs will be met, regardless of age, health, or economic conditions. The best time to plant this tree is decades before you need its shade. Start today, even small, and your future self will have resources to draw upon when most needed. 7. Increase thy ability to earn. The final cure speaks to perhaps the most powerful asset you possess. Increase thy ability to earn. Arkad emphasizes that while controlling expenses and investing wisely are essential, increasing your earning power creates the most significant opportunity for wealth accumulation. The more of wisdom we know, the more we may earn, he explains. That man who seeks to learn more of his craft shall be richly rewarded. Think about it. You can save 10% of $50,000 or 10% of $150,000. Both require the same discipline, but the latter builds wealth 3 times faster. In modern terms, this means continuous investment in your skills, knowledge, and capabilities. This might include formal education or professional certifications, learning new technologies relevant to your field, developing communication or leadership abilities, building valuable relationships and networks, starting side businesses that leverage your unique talents. The digital age offers unprecedented opportunities to increase earning ability without traditional credentials. Online courses, mentorship programs, and entrepreneurial ventures have created new paths to higher incomes. This principle represents a mindset shift. Instead of just chasing money directly, focus on becoming more valuable. Money naturally flows toward value creation. Practical application might mean allocating a percentage of your income specifically for self-improvement books, courses, conferences, coaching. It might mean dedicating evening hours to developing new skills rather than passive entertainment. Remember, your earning ability is your greatest financial asset. While investments might return 7 to 10% annually, investments in yourself can yield returns of hundreds or thousands of percent over your lifetime. Bonus, parables, and moral insights. Beyond the 7 cures, The Richest Man in Babylon contains additional parables that reinforce these principles while adding moral dimensions to wealth building. The Camel Trader of Babylon tells the story of Dabasir, a man who falls into debt slavery but escapes and systematically repays his obligations. His method, allocating 70% of income to living expenses, 20% to debt repayment, and 10% to savings, even while in debt, has inspired modern debt elimination strategies like the debt snowball and debt avalanche methods. The lesson? No financial situation is hopeless if approached with discipline and a sound plan. Today, millions have escaped crushing debt using similar systematic approaches, paying smallest debts first for psychological wins or highest interest debts first for mathematical efficiency. The gold lender of Babylon focuses on Mathan, a wise lender who prospered by carefully evaluating character above all else. He would rather lend to a person of good character with a modest plan than someone of questionable integrity with a seemingly brilliant opportunity. The modern application? Trust character over promises when considering business partnerships, investments, or loans. The finest-looking investment proposal means nothing if the people behind it lack integrity or competence. The Walls of Babylon uses the city's famous defenses as a metaphor for financial protection. When enemies attacked, citizens who remained within the walls stayed safe, while those caught outside suffered. Today's financial walls include emergency funds to protect against job loss, insurance policies to guard against catastrophic expenses, and diversification to shield against market volatility. Like Babylon's walls, these protections seem unnecessary during peaceful times, until the day they become essential. These parables add an important dimension to Arkad's teachings. Wealth building isn't just mathematical, it's ethical. The path to lasting prosperity involves integrity, discipline, and responsibility, qualities that benefit not just our finances, but our entire lives. Timeless financial principles. In a modern world, nearly a century after Clason wrote these parables, and 4 millennia after their fictional setting, these principles remain remarkably effective. Let's recap them in modern terms. Spend with purpose. Track expenses. Distinguish wants from needs, and create a budget that aligns with your values. Grow your money. Invest consistently in low-cost index funds or other assets that generate returns without requiring active management. Protect your wealth. Maintain appropriate insurance. Diversify investments and avoid get-rich-quick schemes. Plan for the future. Maximize retirement account contributions. Create multiple income streams and build an emergency fund. Always be learning. Continuously. Upgrade your skills. Expand your knowledge and increase your value to others. Save first. Automatically transfer at least 10% of each paycheck into investments before you can spend it. Save first. Automatically transfer at least 10% of each paycheck into investments before you can spend it. Spend with purpose. Track expenses. Distinguish wants from needs and create a budget that aligns with your values. Grow your money. Invest consistently in low-cost index funds or other assets that generate returns without requiring active management. Protect your wealth. Maintain sound, appropriate insurance. Diversify investments. And avoid get-rich-quick schemes. Plan for the future. Maximize retirement account contributions. Create multiple income streams and build an emergency fund. Always be learning continuously. Upgrade your skills, expand your knowledge, and increase your value to others. Why have these principles endured despite massive technological and economic changes? Because they're rooted in human behavior, not specific financial instruments or economic systems. They address fundamental truths about how humans interact with money, work, and time. The tools change. Clay tablets become blockchain. Merchant caravans become e-commerce, but the principles transcend these changes. Saving, investing wisely, protecting assets, and increasing earning power will build wealth in any era because they align with how wealth fundamentally works. Conclusion: wealth is not a matter of luck. It's a result of discipline, patience, and timeless principles. You don't need to be born into riches. You only need to follow the wisdom that has stood the test of 4,000 years. The journey from where you are to financial freedom begins with simple steps. Invite you to take action today. First, start saving immediately, even if it's just 1% of your income. Set up an automatic transfer on payday so you never see this money in your checking account. Second, track your expenses for the next 7 days. Write down every single expenditure, no matter how small. This awareness alone often reveals surprising patterns. Third, choose one financial skill to develop this month. Maybe it's learning about index funds, researching retirement accounts, or exploring a potential side income. Remember Arkad's journey from scribe to the richest man in Babylon. He didn't inherit wealth or win a lottery. He simply applied these principles consistently over time, something each of us can do starting today. You have the same opportunity Arkad had to turn knowledge into gold. The ancient city of Babylon may lie in ruins, but its financial wisdom can still build your modern fortune.